So people I know Mike is a long-term recovering person, 20 years, right?
20 years, yeah. I
amazing.
celebrated 20 years.
That's a big one, right? Isn't that
about
wild?
a month ago.
What does that feel like?
It was, thank you. It felt, obviously there's a sense of achievement, but
Didn't you tell me you felt a little...
there was also there was an emotional fallout.
Yeah.
There was a problem there.
Yeah.
There was a,
Did you sort it out?
I think I've attempted to handle it in the most responsible way, but
Which
I was
is not using.
well, no, that's a given, but kind of. I don't want to say I'm redoing my steps, but I'm going down that path of
that's
like
cool.
just kind of
Smart.
Essentially, emotionally, I'm starting from the beginning.
Smart.
You know, where I was so panicked and I was so anxiety riddled, you know, in these first 6 months of
Back 20 years ago.
yeah, that I said, well, if I had to go this hard in the paint with my kind of emotional inventory and my honesty with myself, that was a big one. It was that because I am a responsible citizen day in and day out, and I don't ever raise my voice at my family, and I like to my ideal form of fun is like having a tea party with my daughter. You know, and because I haven't been using or drinking for 20 years, it's very easy for me to genuinely convince myself like I'm doing everything I need to do. Right. And I avoid being genuinely honest with myself about a lot of collections
You've
of
done
things.
a lot of work though, in addition to recovery, right?
Yeah.
So it's not like you're just, hey, I'm just not using. But it's a really cool idea. You know, everyone says you have to redo your steps.
Yeah.
I mean, and this is only your second time through? Really?
This is my second time through where I'm really like I can honestly tell you I'm applying myself because
Is you working with a sponsor out here in Austin, or is somebody back?
I had the it was a weird thing. I had the courage, and then I think at 20 years in, the humility to go and then reach out and find a sponsor out here, which was I think a bigger step also into kind of getting back to the fundamentals of what I need to do outside of just not drinking and using.
Yeah.
You know?
So the one thing, you and I spoke about this a little bit before, but the one thing that troubled me was how you beat yourself up for the behavior while ill, which is sort of like, that's like, I understand that you have feelings about it, but my goodness.
Well, okay. I hear you. And of course, like attaching yourself to something that happened, whether it's yesterday or 20 years ago, isn't going to serve you anything because
you're talking around it when you say shit like that.
But no, let me finish.
Right.
So there's no upside really
to having those feelings.
Because it's over. It happened. I did it, and I've made amends to people that I may have harmed. So but the real rub for me was that I'm not naturally gifted, and I'm not like someone who's overwhelmingly good at a lot of things, and so I really, really value the idea that I can wake up and go to sleep every day and be like, well, I'm not a piece of shit. I'm a responsible person. I think by and large, when people meet me and I deal with people in my daily life, they like me, and I give back to the world in a happy way. So when I think like I do that and I can rest in that, I also then will have these moments where I'm like, oh, I'm a lying, cheating sack of shit scumbag that would sell out anyone to get a little piece of crack, And I'm like, I was, and instead of going, well, that's not who I am. That was me and my disease, and that was 20 years ago.
And now that you think that's unusual for that illness?
No, by no means.
Yeah.
But it's still that's the thing that lives in me. It's like that
somehow you got
that wasn't a character I was portraying on a TV series.
Yeah,
that was me.
Yeah,
I was that guy, and that still will chip away at me. So. But
well, you gotta maybe the amends haven't been adequate or something, or I don't know.
I bet you're right, because my amends, I'm very lucky. By the grace of God, my amends aren't that extensive, because I was a very isolated user and drinker. I never was violent. I'm just not that guy. I was never like the guy who started bar fights or like picked fights with my friends, and I wasn't,
except on a train in France.
No. That was legitimately not my shit.
Okay.
Those guys decided they wanted to beat the shit out of me.
Okay.
Some French funk band named Boogia. And I was like, oh yeah, and they saw, this is kids.
Longer story.
This is kids. Back in the day, we used to listen to music. You'd actually have the CDs with you.
Right.
So I'm on a train in France, and they could see my CDs, and they were interested. They were liked my music, and they started talking to me. And next thing you know, one of them just throws a glass drink in my head, and it didn't break. It just bounced off. I was like, ah, fuck. And so then I on knee-jerk reaction, lunged out at him, and they just started beating me up. On like it was like a Jason Statham movie. I'm fighting like 4 people on a train.
How weird.
I know. It was very weird.
Was it just them being punk? They thought this is cool, sort of a
I think there's
Fletcher moment?
There's a couple things. I think they were hammered. I was definitely fucked up. And I speak zero French.
So maybe it was a miscommunication.
And so there was one guy who kind of spoke English, and I think maybe, I don't know.
Who knows?
I don't know. Yeah.